I'm Quin.
Hey!
I'm with Ami Mercury.
Hello, everyone.
Because she's awesome, and we worked on other video things today, and we haven't had her on the channel in a while, so here we are. Yay!
Good to see you again, guys.
So I'm going to do this a little bit differently than before. I read Beautiful You by Chuck Palahniuk. Probably saying his name totally wrong. Whatever. He wrote Fight Club and many other things. But everybody knows him from Fight Club. So I've been kind of on a Palahniuk kick lately. Rekindled my love for his books, and I was actually reading an interview for his comic Fight Club right now, because they're doing Fight Club 3, which is actually actively coming out now, so you should totally get it, because it's awesome. But I was reading an interview that he did, and he was talking about like his conflicted feelings about how like the movies, the Fight Club movie, all the excitement about that has, had a mind of its own, like how David Fincher made it his own, and it was different than the original work, and how his continuation, it's like, just, it's different, whatever. And so then he started talking about how with Fight Club he wanted to write a book about how it was like how arousal addiction is a thing that exists. Like, you get stimulated in different ways, whether it's a video game or violent movies or erotica, and how there's an addiction to arousal. Not exactly like there's no real such thing as porn addiction or video game addiction, but it's an addiction to arousal, and how that's more of what it is. And so he's in the interview, he was saying how that's what Beautiful You is about, and I was like, what? And I hadn't even heard of this book. Like, I didn't know, because I've read a few of his books. Like, I haven't read all of them, but I've read Fight Club, I've read Haunted, Choke, and the other one escapes me now. The other ones I've read. Have you read any of his stuff?
Yes, and I'm trying to remember what there was one that I read. I forgot the title of it, but I remember that the premise was it was about she'd been a model and she got into an accident and like half her face was basically shot off.
Oh Jesus!
I forgot what it was called though.
Okay, we'll have to check that one. So the point of this video is me wanting to tell you about this book, Beautiful You, because I read that interview and I was thinking, ooh, this is going to be like really interesting. I mean, believe me, it was interesting, but not at all the way I thought it was going to be. Okay, so I begin reading this book, and I'm noticing very, very quickly that it's terribly written, and I'm just like, was this on purpose? Yes, it was on purpose. He purposely meant to write it terribly, and it's kind of mocking the, romance lover book, very much 50 Shades of Grey. It's mocking that, and like have you read those books or anything?
I've seen the movies.
Okay, well, I've done reviews for all 3 of those garbage movies, and they're on this channel with different people. I think you and I should eventually one day talk about them all. I'll never escape talking about those movies, but you know how like she trips when she walks into the thing? Like, yes, so as I was reading the book, I'm like, she's clumsy and she trips into the guy's office, and it's like an intern, not an intern, but an intern at a law firm, and she's trying to find chairs for some meeting, and she ends up accidentally pushing the handle onto a door that she thinks is locked, because every door that she's found is locked, but she falls into and trips, and she's carrying like coffee and stuff, and the coffee like gets all over, and it's such a long, drawn out scene that's uncomfortable, and I was reading it and I'm like, oh, I see what he's doing. He's making fun of the thing. Okay, so obviously he asks her out on a date, this guy, and his name is Maxwell. The media calls him Climax Well, and people are like, what does that mean, or whatever, and he's dated like really famous people, but only for like 136 days. It's very specific. And I think, it's 136 days. And she ends up dating the guy, and he like doesn't want to have sex with her or anything. He's very technical. He writes down like pretty much everything that she says. It's so strange, and like people like paparazzi are starting to follow her because she's you know, with this really, really famous guy, and her parents are like, are you gonna marry him yet? Her co-workers and roommates are like, you better not be wearing your diaphragm, you better get knocked up by this guy, and you're just like, what is happening?
Wow.
Like, it's so bad. So they end up finally having sex, and he's like writing notes the whole time. He's taking notes like the entire time, and it's like, when the whole thing is like her, you know, being the stereotypical heroine Mary Sue. She's never had an orgasm before. Like, she's not a total virgin, not like 50 Shades, but it's still like she's never had a real orgasm, and he makes her have a real orgasm, and it's amazing. And then after that, like, he never has sex, like, you know, traditional sex with her again. Like, that's just not a thing that ever happens. He starts experimenting on her with different weird sex toys that he's made, because he's coming out with this line called Beautiful You, and they give her spectacular orgasms, and they make, like, you know, there's like this they have like douches that make everything feel magical, and like there's a really weird conversation with him gonna use this weird pink douche on her, and she's like, do you think I'm dirty? And he's like, it's just it's not about that. Like, there's just really weird things in there. But something that I kind of liked about the sex scenes and the weird stuff is he's like explaining to her, like, but I mean, I get that it's a joke. Like, it's Chuck Palahniuk, like, you know, it's making a joke at how the sex scenes are terrible, and probably a lot of, because in 50 Shades it was down there, and here it's like, the tubal parts of your clitoris, the legs of your clitoris are being stimulated. Here's your G-spot. Like, all of this stuff, it's so technical and ridiculous, but amazingly ridiculous. And so she starts, she keeps running into one of these actresses that he dated, and she was like, oh, you're already his plaything, you're his toy forever, you're gonna be ruined, you're gonna wish that, like, people had stopped this, and she just thinks the chick's jealous, and it's so, like, it's just crazy. And so then she's trying to, like, get to know him a little bit more, but he's just not, he's like a stone wall. He doesn't let anything out, like, nothing like that. He never lets her in, he never tells her he loves her. Typical, it's nothing like that, like, and so that was kind of nice, but like, the whole time, like, I just didn't realize this whole thing was supposed to be satire. Like, I kind of thought, like, I don't know what I was thinking. I was just like, I don't know, what are you trying to Chuck? What are you trying to tell us, Chuck? Like, what's happening? So that he, like, 136 days or whatever the number was is over, and then he was like, well, you get to have all this money as long as you don't tell anybody anything that ever went down between us, and about any of the products that we used, like, and you can have you'll be set for life, you can have all this money, but if you talk to anybody about it, you know, you don't get to have this money. And so she's like, okay, and I would zip out. Yeah, right. And so he gives her this, like, one last little toy that looks like a dragonfly, and you know, it's amazing, and she's realizing that he's going to be unleashing all of these toys that he used on her in this guinea pig situation on the public, and she's realizing that it's going to make women with vaginas, especially, like, not care. Like, the tagline was, your husband will be useless after this, is the tagline for their product. So the product comes out, everyone goes bonkers insane. Everybody, all the ladies just basically leave society and stay in their beds. Oh my God. Like, the world fucking crumbles, and the men are staging revolts and burning sex toys. And you end up finding out that he has control of all these women now with a remote, because some of the toys have dissolved into their skin, and like these little nano chip things are in their bodies, and
this escalated quickly.
Yes, it really does. Like, it does that. Like, it's like they're broken up, it's normal, and then bam, world goes bonkers. So she ends up going to this woman, because, like, his backstory thing is that he studied with all these, like, sex experts, ancient whatever nonsense mumbo jumbo. So she ends up going to somewhere up in the mountains, and, like, somewhere, like, it's not even important, goes up to the mountains and meet this woman, Baba something or another, who has apparently pubes that touch the ground, and, like, yeah, like, apparently that's her, and they start having a very strange sexual relationship.
Repubesal?
Yes, repubesal. And so she has to learn from this this amazing ancient guru who's apparently been around for hundreds of years to be able to fight off Maxwell's evil devices, and she makes her vagina scream. It's very strange. It got really off the wall. I didn't really understand. And so it turned out that like all the sex toys that he used were created by this woman, and it was like they're meant to be like body parts, because like the men have died trying to sleep with this ancient guru lady, and she used like their bones as different sex toys. So like the little dragonfly butterfly thing that's on like the cover of the book is supposed to be like a human bone. I don't know the bones of the human body. So it's like, it's crazy. And they have like a ridiculous showdown at the end where everyone basically dies except her, and like Maxwell ends up dying, the guru ends up dying, and she like all the toys get destroyed, and the society has to rebuild. So instead because the ladies stop being ladies and left their families, so society basically has to rebuild, and she goes off to live in a cave. But she eventually does have the power of his devices.
It's like this turned into like Mad Max.
It was crazy. So that was Beautiful You. Like I think I missed the point, but it was ridiculous, and it was not what I expected. But yeah.
So, well, I kind of wonder, like, if he'd seen the movies, like, 9.5 Weeks and Wild Orchids.
No, I haven't seen either of those movies.
Well, because, like, I thought of this because, like, you mentioned that, like, the climax only dates people for, like, 136 days or something. And it just made me think of, like, 9.5 Weeks, because
is that what the 9 means?
I wonder if that's what, he was referencing, because, like, in the movie, like, the two characters, which, by the way, the leading male in that movie is Mickey Rourke, like, a young Mickey Rourke.
Oh.
Yeah, super hot. And he was, like, the main character, and totally, like, sexually awakens the female in the story, and they only date for like 9.5 weeks, and that's like this. So I wonder,
because I remember hearing about that movie when 50 Shades was out. Like people kept comparing it to that, and I was like, I don't even know what that is, but
it's really hot. Like it's actually like 50 Shades sucks.
Is it like Secretary hot?
It's about as hot as a Secretary. It's got like that little BDSM kind of edge.
Sure, yeah.
But it's very much about like sexual awakening.
Oh yeah, like that's one thing about this is it was very. It wasn't like there wasn't really any kink involved. I mean, okay, so like just I don't know, the sex scenes between her and that lady are just bizarre. Like all of it's just so bizarre. It's not what I was expecting. But yeah, that was Beautiful You mostly.
Wow.
In a nutshell. I mean, like I think I ignored some details, but that was the basic story.
That's so neat.
I think we should do more like this, so you don't have to traumatize yourself with some of these books.
Me.
And you saved you some.
It's like here's the summary. There's a lot of things in my life, and I'm like, man, couldn't you have given me the Cliff Notes?
Well,
you just gave me the Cliff Notes.
You're welcome. The Cliff Notes for Beautiful You by Chuck Palahniuk. But yeah, seriously, if you like Fight Club and you like his other stuff, you should check out the comics. There's Fight Club 2. We're in the middle of Fight Club 3 right now. Yeah, look at it, ladies. Oh yeah. So Amy, speaking of comic books.
Oh.
You gonna talk about yours? You got Orc Girls still going on?
Yes, I do. I just released issue 2 last month. So
fantastic. The whole thing. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I've noticed you've been doing some conventions as well with taking your comic and your art. That's fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
Do you have any dates coming up that you're going to be doing?
Let's see. Well, there's a small convention in Tampa that I'm going to be. It's like at a library. It's a small event.
When is that?
Huh?
When is that?
It's going to be in the middle of May.
Oh, okay. It's a few weeks. Nice.
And I'm going to, it's not really like a convention per se, it's like a one-day event, but I'm going to be presenting my art there. I just found out yesterday, actually.
Oh, that's great. So May 11th in Tampa. What is it called?
It's called like LibraryCon or LibCon.
Okay, I'll put in the description. Are you doing Spooky in October? I can't remember.
I plan on it.
Cool.
Plan on it.
Yeah. Awesome. Fantastic. So So, yay! Comics and awesome stuff. If you like this style of video with me explaining to her very badly things, we can do more of that if you like. If you have other suggestions for us to review, let us know in the comments. Give us a like, give us a thumbs up. Check out, I'll have her information or girl and Instagrams and such in the description. So see you later. Bye.
Bye.